We do want to make a game. We've actually kind of tried this a couple of times, although maybe not you. But yeah, I was playing with that idea of making a card-based game, but that never materialized into anything. So one of the big things was just trying to understand what was the main driver of the game. Was it going to be mechanics or the experience or what is it that were the theme, right?
Welcome to the Hobby Hangout with Asu and Dave.
Thanks for joining us for another episode. So today we're going to be talking about, so you want to make a board game?
Or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's how ambitious we were.
Yeah. So I think one thing we're talking about how is, I think, maybe not everybody, but, you know, I'm sure a lot of board gamers or gamers out there at some point think about creating their own game, right? Mm-hmm. And for us, it was no different. It was with us and our friends, right? Discussing over the years, like, we should make a game.
So in your mind, what is it that prompted you? Because I kind of like remember it, right? Like we will be playing a game and then like out of nowhere, one of us will make the comment of, oh, we should make a board game, right? So what do you think have been the moments that have made you think, I want to make a board game?
I think it's been sort of us understanding a game to a point where we're getting a good strategy developing and things like that. And I guess maybe for ourselves, we're just thinking, we understand the mechanics of the game so well, we should be able to make one ourselves.
Okay, that's a different take than mine.
What's your take?
Well, it has either been that something in the game is not making a lot of sense and I will have thought, I could make this better. Like this specific thing is not working out for me and I would like the opportunity to make something better. Like, you know, something inspired in the game, but better.
Where do you have that? Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, Zombicide. No, wait. What was it that we were playing that we were like, oh, we should make a game?
Because I've always felt like the conversation of, oh, we should make a game has come out of us having so much fun that we're like, this is easy, we can do this ourselves.
So that was going to be my other comment. Not necessarily easy,
Not easy, but like, we get this so well that we should be able to.
No.
That's the way I've always had it.
Okay, so the other way, so it's either something is not working out and I would like to make a game that actually works out. But then the other is when we're having so much fun at one game that it just inspires me and I was like, and I would think, you know, I want to make a game that people have so much fun playing. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, I understand the mechanics. I want to make a game now.
No, not from like a what's the word? I don't know what word I'm trying to think of. Not pretentious, but like. Anyways, not from that point of view. It's more like you get into the game so well that you're understanding it, and as you said, you're having fun. That the idea of like, I'm good at games, I understand games, I can transfer that into me creating a game, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I think it's just a feeling of I'm frustrated, I want to make something better, or I'm having so much fun, I want to make something that is.
I have no examples of being frustrated with a game so much that I want to improve it myself.
I can't think of one right now, but I feel like we've had some games where it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, that's the rule. But like, I feel like we've come across, not necessarily something that is so frustrating, because I feel like if it had been so frustrating, I would have remembered it. It's just being one of those like, it doesn't make sense, but you just keep going kind of moments. It's not.
I don't know.
It does, like, I feel like when you're doing something that is for entertainment, it has to wow you every time. You don't want a mediocre game.
Like, when you play a mediocre game or a game that doesn't have good mechanics, to me it's just like, I don't want to play this anymore. It's not, I want to try and fix this.
Okay, well.
But yeah, so that kind of, whatever path, I guess, maybe multiple paths have led to us to...
Well, so if we have different perspectives here, I think that it will be really interesting to hear what others have to say about it. If you have thought about making a game, what has prompted you to say, oh, I want to make a game? Okay, so coming back to to this conversation, though, I interrupted you. What were you gonna say?
Oh, just sort of what was the next steps after we kind of settled on this whole idea. Yeah, we do want to make a game, because I think we've actually kind of tried this a couple of times, although maybe not you. Maybe it's just me the first time. I'm just thinking.
I don't know.
Where we were looking at creating sort of like a card-based game about fighting monsters. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that.
That was
no.
years and years ago. But yeah, I was playing with that idea of making a card-based game, but I think that never materialized into anything. And I know we kind of got into it again, talking about games and what we wanted to do and what the next steps were. And I think we stumbled our way through a couple of things, right? So one of the big things was just trying to understand what was the core concept that we were trying to get at, right? What was the main driver of the game? Was it going to be mechanics or the experience, or what is it that were the theme, right? So we ended up coming up with a couple of ideas with our friends and tried to split the work up amongst us, right?
Well, I think because with the friends that we regularly play, I feel like it has been years that we've been saying, oh, we should make a board game. And we just never did it. And I think part of that is getting started. Because we didn't have any idea of something that, a game that didn't exist. Like, I feel like it was like that first step of, like, just figuring out where to start. Like, we just couldn't get to it. And it was, I think one of them, right, was off for work. And I was like, yeah, you can come over and, you know, we can have a coffee. And then we just kind of like started getting some ideas and we started writing down a bunch of them. And we ended up with, what was it, like 3 or 4 game ideas that we then started discussing, right? But I think, like, I don't know how it happened that just one day we were like, boom, this idea, boom, this is the next idea.
I think it's exactly what you said, because that, to me, is the biggest differentiator from any previous attempts is we actually started writing them down. Rather than just talking about them and throwing ideas, we actually started putting that pen to paper and writing down what these ideas were and how they could potentially start to work, right? Not that we were getting into any real game mechanics
Oh, wait,
or anything.
yeah,
but,
actually, yeah. So we started with those ideas when they both, like the couple that we play with, they both were over.
Yeah.
And we were having dinner or something, right? And then suddenly we started with the ideas, like very small ideas that then when she came over for coffee at a later time, that's when we started developing more on those ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that was the biggest one, is writing them down.
And I think also because that day, for whatever reason, we didn't end up playing games. We were just having dinner or something, right?
Yeah.
And because I think that every time that we get together, it's like, okay, game time. Like, what are we going to play, right? And it's game after game. And I think that this time we were having a conversation and it just like went into some ideas, right, that we started having.
Yeah.
So I think in an unconscious way, we made the time to dedicate to have that conversation, right? Like we didn't necessarily say, let's talk about this, but
to ideate. Right?
Yeah, but we didn't fill up the time with playing board games.
Yeah. What did you find from that first step? Because we were all kind of throwing ideas and tweaking the game and how it might play.
It was, so I think that right away, we started having so many ideas, but at the same time, there were too many and too different. Because everyone has a different, you know, they like different kind of mechanics, right? Or themes. And I think that we couldn't necessarily agree with what to settle on, but I think that it was also too early on to decide what we should be going for. And I think that it was at an even later time that you were watching a video or something, right? And you said we should focus on either theme, mechanics, or what was the other thing? Theme, mechanics,
experience.
Right. Feelings, right? Like the experience of the feeling.
Yeah. I can't remember the fourth one.
Oh, there were 4?
Yeah, there was 4.
Where's your notebook? You had all these written down. Should we pause this video so you can go get your notebook?
But it was from the creator Find the Fun.
Oh, okay. Is it Garrett something?
Mark? No?
No.
Oh, we'll add the name in the description. But yeah, he had a video talking about sort of the areas of focus for when creating a game. And to me, like, that, it just made sense to me. It was something that it's still broad, right? But it helps focus us at least a little bit on in terms of like what do we find the most important, or what did we want to make the most important around this game. And one of them was like we wanted to be the experience, right? We wanted it to be fast paced and quick, right?
And I think one of the things that we kept coming back to was to say we need something as fun and as fast as Happy Salmon. Not a game like Happy Salmon.
That's what we were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, something like that. Something that is easy to understand, that you can play it at any time, but it's also not too time consuming, but it's also fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with your take. That's sort of what I was feeling when we started diving into that one game a little bit more. Again, it wasn't that there was any bad ideas there. It was just there were so many different ideas. And all of them were shaping the game very differently, right? So it became difficult to try and provide feedback across all of them because they were all playing very differently.
Yeah.
So the step from there was we kind of decided, or we talked about it, right, with our friends, and we're like, okay, maybe one person should own each game idea that we were developing.
Well, I think if I remember, that came up not necessarily because we had too many ideas, but because, I mean, yes, part of that was that, but I think it was that because we had so many ideas, we couldn't move forward. Like, one of us could take it out, like, because everyone had full-time jobs, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like if anyone wanted to run with it, like they couldn't, because then they had to think about what the other people were going to think about it, right? And so that's when, I guess, just for context, you being in kind of like
Product operations.
One of our friends being a business analyst, I think that you both had that idea of like, or like, it's more top of mind that at work you have one product manager. And so we ended up bringing that experience to how we tried to get through with our games, right? And so then from that point, when we assigned those ones, we kind of did some progress, right?
Yeah, we definitely, I think we made some good progress.
Very good progress. Like we had a paper prototype that we got to test.
Yeah. And like the recordings that our friends sent over, like adding the music tension and everything. And I was like, oh, that's like, we made a big leap forward there, right? Because now that product manager can still take feedback, but they're driving the vision, right? So they can move that further ahead. I think that worked well.
I think
go ahead.
It still takes a lot of time that when you have a full-time job and when you have, like we have kids, right? Like they have kids, we have kids. It's just too much that it's like, when do you find the time to actually think about this?
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest learning is it's not easy to make a game and it definitely takes time. So you have to be willing to make that sacrifice, right? And for us, like, maybe we wanted to potentially produce something that could go out to a broader audience, but at the same time, we were also doing it more so for fun. So it just became very difficult to try and find time to do that work.
Yeah, and I remember I was listening to this, so the same creator of the book, he has a podcast, right? And I think that it hasn't been updated in a while, but I was listening to one of the older episodes, and there was one person that they were saying, right, like from a design perspective, it's not their full-time job. And the other thing too is that some people, or like I guess it's one thing to be the designer where you come up with your idea, and then the other one is to be the developer who actually moves that forward, right? And so I think that we're trying to do so much. Like I don't know where we should stop with the idea, like how in depth we should have the idea, or do we want to actually take it all the way to the end, or
Well, I think that's the approach that we were taking at this, right? We wanted to do it ourselves all the way to the end. And to your point, this kind of fell off with all of our work commitments and life commitments. If we end up picking it up again, maybe that's the next discussion we want to take. Like, how far do we take this before we'd look for either support or a handoff to somebody, right? But yeah.
and will we even want to hang out? Like,
Yeah.
if it's our first game too, right? Like, do we want to hand it off to someone else, or do we want to see it through just because of the investment that we put on it, right?
Yeah.
The emotional investment that we put on it.
Yeah. But I did enjoy it, and we were also looking for opportunities on where we could find time, right? So one of them was on our drives, when we were taking long drives to visit family. The passenger, whoever wasn't driving, had their notebook out, and we were kind of discussing.
We
some
made
questions.
a lot of progress on the game that you had. Like, you went back to your card game,
Yeah.
right?
Well, no, I went back to. I wanted to make a miniature skirmish game. That
Tabletop
was
kind of thing.
a tabletop war game. That would be like fast paced, and I ended up settling on the idea that it would be card driven to support the gameplay. But yeah, we definitely made a lot of progress
On just the
those
one
road
drive,
trips. Yeah.
the one-way drive.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of that when I was driving with the kids on my own while you weren't here. I was like, oh, we could be making so much progress on the game on this drive. But yeah.
So we need to take a long drive somewhere then,
Yeah.
just to be able to get through the game.
Where you're forced to do that, where you don't have the option to do anything else,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
But no, yeah, I think it's not something that I've given up on or anything like that. I still want to do it. It's just I don't have the. Not that I don't like saying I don't have the time. It's not a priority right now.
Yeah.
Right. Especially with the summer, the nicer weather. Our priority right now is definitely getting out and experiencing the nicer weather while we have it.
Yep.
I know we were joking just this week with our friends in chat, right? That we haven't, none of us have seen we haven't seen them in a while, right?
Yeah. They posted a picture, right? That they were traveling again, like they do every weekend, and then they were like looking forward to playing again in the winter.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, when we start playing, I'm sure we'll probably start picking up the games again, the game ideas.
Maybe.
But
But that was fun, like the one that, because I remember that we had this one idea, and then we were like, we took it in a different direction, right? But I still had that kind of like, what if, right? And so because our daughter really wants to also be a part of that, right? She's really into board games. And so I was doing it with her, right? Like, we were like, okay, what about a game kind of like this? And I remember we were doing research, and like I spent a lot of time on research, and I was like, okay, kind of trying to define it. And then from there, when we started playing it, I think that we had a good game. We were actually having fun. It was getting intense at some point. But then we just kind of left it there.
yeah. It's hard to make that next step, right? Because I feel like once you get past that initial conception, the effort involved increases, right? Because now you have to either start documenting or getting people to try it, right? Like that next step is a bigger leap and a bigger investment of time and effort.
Yeah, and so we ended up we recorded the game and we sent it to our friends. And I remember like they watched it and they were like, oh, what if you tried this other thing, right?
Yeah.
And they were really good ideas. But then after that, we never got the chance to actually play it again with these other options, right? Because it takes time to set it up. And then because it's kind of like a prototype, but you actually don't have the pieces, we're just borrowing it from other games. It kind of gets a little bit discouraging, I guess. It's not as exciting to go and make a mess and take the pieces out of the other games and having to put them back, because we were like adding some table labels so that we could keep track of what we were doing. Yeah, that got hard. And then like when you think about it, it's like, okay, now when you get to a place where you're like, you know what, this is very decent, I want other people to try it. Like, how do you even do that? Like, do you present them with those like borrowed pieces from other games? Like, are they gonna understand the vision that you have, or do you have to actually create pieces?
Well, no, I think you could still do it. It doesn't have to be a finished or polished game, as long as you're communicating that up front, right? Like you could put out that call that this is very early testing, you're looking for play testers. But to me, it's just that jump in effort and commitment that none of us were really ready to do that.
Yeah.
Because you're getting into play testers, you're getting into speaking to strangers and trying to share your idea and make sure they understand your idea, right? So yeah.
And especially because it's not just the idea, but it's also the pretend that this piece of this other board game means this one thing for this game, right? So it's like you're asking a lot from people, a lot of effort into getting in sync with your ideas.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, we definitely need to continue reading that book, Finding Fun.
Yes.
Because I think one of the things that they mentioned in the book was that, like, for some people, you might feel afraid of sharing your idea for fear of your idea being stolen, right? Of someone else developing it. And it could happen. But as we have seen how much effort it takes to develop that idea, like, what are the chances of people being like, oh, okay, you have this initial idea that is nowhere near finished, I'm going to take it and run with it, right?
Yeah, to be honest, the whole, to me anyways, the way I see it is the whole concept of someone stealing your idea probably wouldn't happen until you're in production. That's when they would steal your idea and try and repackage it. They wouldn't steal it at the idea initiation, because like you said, there's so much effort involved to actually get it to the end.
And you have a long way to get to the final vision too, right? And you keep evolving your idea with feedback that you're receiving from testing and everything, right? So if it's at an early point, then what are the chances of that final product looking like what you had in mind, or what you continue to evolve into? Yeah. So that was one of the things that I think that once we have a better understanding, I think that we are at the point where, with some time commitment, like, I'm not saying several hours, I think that we just need a little bit of time to create, like, for example, for your game, a paper prototype, even though it's not near finished. But it's like, if we think about work, when you're developing something, it's better to start getting the feedback early on rather than having to change everything once you have like a near finished product, right? And so similar to this, like, the earlier you can get to start getting feedback, the better it is for you to start evolving and not waste time on something that you're gonna have to rework.
Yeah.
And the advantage is that we know people, right, at the local hobby store. So we could potentially get people to be interested in playtesting.
Yeah, I've been thinking of even just picking up a deck of blank cards off Amazon or Walmart or whatever, just populate the cards for the game that I was...
I'm going to bleep your names, because we're not endorsing them.
From online retailers.
Or a local store. They don't have it in stock, actually.
Blank cards?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that they have them. I don't know if our store will have them on stock here, physically. But anyway, so just getting some blank cards.
Okay. Well, maybe we should reward some of the viewers that have stuck around this long with sharing some of my idea.
Okay, go for it.
Well, if you have stuck around, here's the idea. It's very early on, right? So it's a tabletop skirmish
And if
game.
someone comes out, if someone releases this game, we're going to trace it back to this video.
Yeah. But the idea is that I want it to be miniature agnostic at this point. So it's just a rule set, and you can use any miniatures you want. Now, we obviously haven't play tested anything, so I don't know whether it's going to be sort of a one mini versus one mini, or if we can actually play this game with more than one mini on each side. But obviously, it's intended to be sort of like a fight, right? A Coliseum fight or something like that, where you have these two heroes that are meeting and you're fighting. So the concept was, because you're both experts, you're both warriors, you're supposed to be these exceptional fighters. The game is intended to play where you're not rolling to hit. If you're within range and you're attacking, you're going to hit. What you're actually doing is the damage. The damage may vary. You may be able to evade it or do certain things, but you're never rolling to hit. If you're getting into that point where you're attacking, your attack is going to hit. It's just depending on how much damage you're going to do. And then, yeah, the card setup was, you have a bit of a deck building portion to it, where the decks will be slightly different based off of, I think
Your race.
we had 4 different things, right? One was build, not race, build. So whether you were like a giant build or like, I can't remember the terms I use now, brawn, warrior, or like athletic.
Skinny fighter.
Skinny fighter, yeah. So you would favor strength over or
So
speed.
it was stamina. It was stamina, speed, strength.
Yeah, so every hero we were thinking, or again, the idea is every hero would have the same base health, number of health, but the stamina would vary depending on your body size. And stamina would actually be driven by your deck. So as you spend cards to do actions, based off of the actions, you're also spending your stamina. And if you run out of your deck, you're essentially out of stamina and you can only do base movement, base attack. If you're larger, you're going to have fewer cards, you're going to have fewer stamina, but if you hit, you're going to do major
A lot of damage. Yeah.
Whereas if you're thinner, athletic, lithe, you're going to have more hands. You're probably not going to do as much damage, but you have more opportunity to combo and do different things and move around.
And you
the
have
field.
speed.
Yeah, and you have speed. And then the next level after your build would be a deck for your, I think it was armor, weapon, and accessory.
Yeah.
And then the varying armors would actually give you different dice of damage. I think we scaled it from D6 to D12s.
And if I remember, it will be driven by the build, right?
What die? Yeah. So the build was higher builds or stronger builds would give you access to higher dice, right? So you could potentially do more damage. It's still a die roll to do the damage, and there's multiple dice, but yeah. Yeah, I was getting, as I was, obviously I'm somewhat, what's the word? I'm blanking on all words today.
Man, you're asking me.
Read my mind. I'm biased because I'm developing it, but as I was writing it, I was like, oh, this sounds like it would be fun to do.
Well, and I think I remember in a different episode, we were talking about how I wouldn't really like playing
Card-based games.
card-based games for tabletop. But as we were talking about this idea, I think that just the idea of like having that deck building process and being able to customize it to a miniature, I think that one was kind of interesting. So I will definitely try it. And then one of the other things that got me excited too is that we were thinking, right, like we want to start learning 3D.
Yes, yeah.
3D design. Yeah. Sometime when we have time. Someday.
On the many lists of things we want to do, yeah.
It's not at the top of the priority list. Yeah. But anyway, so we wanted to learn that, right? And so one of the things that we're saying was, what if we could design some of the models, right?
Yeah.
So that people could either just, use their models that they have, or they could just purchase the one-off file, or even printing if we want to print it. And our idea is to get designs that have not been used, kind of warriors that have not been used before, right? And so one of the ideas were like, mythical creatures that were like folklore, I guess you will call them, from Latin American cultures.
Yeah, I guess some of them folklore, some of them is
mythology.
at this point. Yeah, I guess deities, gods, and things like that, right? I mean, they were real cultures, so I don't know if we'd call them mythology, but yeah. But yeah, like you said, something we were talking about is trying to get into building or designing miniatures and creatures and things like that you don't normally see right now. Right? So yeah.
So that would be kind of exciting to have a model like that, and then with this kind of game, right?
Yeah.
So I think that from that point, it makes me excited, but at the same time, we can only go as fast as we can go.
Yeah. Little steps.
Yeah. I don't know if that's enough information, because I feel like we have a lot more context, right? So I don't know if that's enough information to be fair to ask the question, is that something that you listening, would you want to give it a try?
Yeah. Any feedback is welcome. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Will you be open to collaborations?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure what that would mean, but yeah. But no, yeah, I think the next step is to transfer all of the ideas of like the builds and the items and everything that we wrote out, because we went through a lot of them.
We had like those cards are pretty much finished, right? Like we
still didn't go through everything, but like the idea was like you have 4 builds. I think it was like we had 6 different weapons, 4 different armors, and I think it was like 6 different accessories. So that combination you could make several hundreds of different configurations, right? And you would have varying numbers of cards in your deck depending on what you selected.
Yeah, and this brings to mind actually, like, you know, when, like, I don't know how it actually works for people that design games, but do they do the math of like probabilities and all of that stuff before they design? Is it after? Is it during? And so we kind of like did some basic level kind of math on there. And we were saying, right, like we should probably run, once we have everything completed, a simulation, just to make sure that it's balanced. I think that from our calculations, it seems like it is, but we got to create a lot of different scenarios in a model to actually be able to tell if it'll work out. But I think that I think that should happen before we start even getting onto the cards, right? Because we're never going to be able to test enough to see if it's going to be balanced or not.
True.
We're not going to be able to play more than 1,000 times.
Once you have all the information, Excel becomes your best friend.
Not even Excel. I'm pretty sure that you can do that in Python, or there was wasn't there like some sort of a website that allows you to create your own model? Not models. What's called
cards, but I don't know if they do probability testing. I don't know.
Yeah, there was. I'm pretty sure that there's a website where you can create your tabletop game that allows you to run simulations.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what we're looking for, right? Simulations. You could do it in Excel as well, but I think that, I don't know, like I feel like Python might be even better. But if there's something out there that I'm sure there has to be something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, so that might be even faster than us trying to figure out how to code it.
Fair enough. So
we have a next step.
Next step
for the winter when we have a little bit more time.
Not during the summer. We gotta enjoy the summer.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And I guess we still need to get into Warcry here.
Yes.
I know you can't see it on camera, but up front I actually pulled out a bunch of my bits boxes that were fantasy related. So I went through these with our daughter this morning. And we
You said that she made her list already, right?
She had already made her list, and then when I was going through it, I was like, we have none of these models. So I was like, the army she picked, we have nothing that would like strictly look like what they have, right? From Games Workshop. She picked Nighthaunts, which is like ghosts and banshees.
Oh, okay.
And we have nothing like that in my bits. And so we were going through it. They obviously don't look like ghosts, but she managed to find figures that she wants to use, and she'll paint them up like ghosts. So she found one for like her I think it was her dire wolf or something like that. One for her ghosts and spirit hosts and stuff like that. So I think she's settled on all the models she wants to use. So now we need to look at your demons, and we might have to tweak your list, I think.
No, I spent so much time making that list.
How much time?
It bothers me.
There's like 5 demonettes. Like half your army is just
I
the
know.
same model.
No, I know, but it's like because I didn't have enough points. I want numbers.
You want numbers?
I want numbers. I want enough people fighting there. But it's so hard to get to the point, and it bothers me so much that after so much work, I ended up coming short 5 points, or like And then the one character that I wanted to take, I couldn't because I would be over by 5 points. Like just 5 points. It bothers me so much.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the list that I came up with, that I ended up with, I'm pretty sure it's 1,000 even.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No.
Oh, it was 1,000 when I was able, because I was like, I thought that I could take blood letters.
Yes.
And it didn't turn out that I couldn't.
But yeah, so we'll need to redo your list a little bit. Oh. And then we can look through this stuff and figure out if we have some figures for you or not.
Okay.
Yeah. We're on our step to getting Warcry on the table. Although the one thing I did want to mention was we can pick our models and start painting them. But technically, we do already have 4 warbands painted. Mm-hmm. So we could start playing with those while we also paint our other warbands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see what's painted.
All right.
So we want to hear from you. If you have created a game or thought about it, share with us your experience.
Yeah, tried it. How far did you get? Did you get to playtesting or just in your mind?
Yeah, and how do you even make time for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, then. Until the next time.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.